If you're booking calls inside of your business, but you're wasting a lot of time talking to people that are either broke or not the right fit for your program, I'm going to walk you through how you can tighten up your sales process so you focus only on high quality calls. So this will allow you to double the revenue inside of your business without needing to book more sales calls. So I want to walk you through the qualification process. So what does it mean to qualify prospects? Why does this matter? What you should be qualifying for? What are the different ways to do this? When you should start qualifying, which is probably not what you think, and the problem with most call funnels and why yours is probably not working that well right now. So let's dive right into it. So what does it mean to qualify prospects? Well, in plain English, it means deciding not to talk to just about anyone with a pulse and a credit card. Because a lot of people, unfortunately, they optimize for the wrong thing inside of their business. And I made this switch inside of my own when I started focusing on my ideal avatar. So inside of your offer, you're taking someone from point A, which is their current struggle, their current challenges, their pain points, and taking them from that point A to point B, which is a dream outcome, what they really want, the obstacles they want to go through and avoid, and achieving the dream outcome that they're striving to get to. So right here, when it comes to that point A, you need to have a very good understanding of that actual person so that we can focus on those and avoid anyone else. And by doing this, we're focusing on quality over quantity. And that's because not all leads are the same. Not all leads will be the right fit. So if you're a fitness coach that's helping someone that's very advanced get ready for a competition, you're really wasting your time if you're talking to someone that never steps into the gym. If you're a dating coach that's helping someone get on more dates, well, you're wasting your time if you're talking to someone that's already married, right? So it's basically optimizing for that ideal client that is at that point A that we're trying to help them with. Some of the leads also might not afford your program. What I talk about a lot inside of my content, my marketing, and what I do inside of my business is sell high ticket coaching. So if you're selling high ticket coaching, there's obviously a cost involved, and it's very counterintuitive to speak to anyone that can't afford it. Basically, there are certain ways to kind of bridge that gap with payment plans, but someone needs to be able to continue the payment plans. So in this case, we just want to focus on the highest leverage and the people that would most qualify for what we sell. And most coaches, unfortunately, optimize for the wrong thing. They're optimizing for calls. They're optimizing for the vanity metrics and those numbers, which is what I was doing in my business last year. So a lot of people, whenever they think of the end goal in mind, they think of the top down of the funnel, and they think that the precursor of closing more deals is just booking more calls. But that's not exactly the case. So in my business, we actually did try optimizing for booked calls early last year. So early last year, we were spending roughly $3,000 a month in ads, and I had successfully optimized for booked calls. We were basically allowing just about anyone to hop on a call. Part of it was because I wanted to better hone in on my messaging and understanding my avatar and what the people in the marketplace were looking for. But I also thought that booking more calls would simply mean making more money. And so we'll see what happened here. But we tried optimizing for booked calls, and so we did. We were spending around $3,000 a month. We were booking about 90 to 100 calls, and we were booking them for a very low cost. So if you're selling high ticket, you're in the coaching space, anything under $80 is a pretty good number, and we were way below that, less than half. So we really were crushing it on the booked calls front. But again, this number doesn't really matter if it doesn't lead to deals. So that's what we figured out. So in this case, we were optimizing for booked calls, right? So the booked calls were resulting in this, unfortunately. So we were having 90 booked calls. However, this is what was happening on the back end. So we had 90 booked calls. We had 53 people show up. So only 59% in January, only 53% in February. And out of those, this is how many offers we sent out. So we had, out of these 53, 26 or 49%. And in February, this is a horrible number, not a great month for us. And we had 94 calls, 50 calls actually showed up, and 21 offers were made, meaning that we had 21 people that we thought were a right fit for our program. So these were not the right numbers we were striving for. So although we hit the first point, everything in the back lacked big time because the people booking the calls weren't the actual avatar that we were looking for. So whenever someone hopped on the call, they were either broke, they came to find out the actual cost of the program, and they were nowhere near being able to afford it. So they were just trying to discover what we were talking about. Another case was someone that was in the wrong industry, or they were confused on what we sold, or they just purely were not the right stage that we could help them in. So that was a huge issue. We were booking these many calls, and we had blocked out this time on our calendar. So 94 booked calls. We were scheduling calls for about 30-minute sessions. So that is about 47 hours blocked off on the calendar, and half of them didn't even show up, so blocked off for absolutely no reason. And out of that 47 hours, we had half of these people actually qualified. So then we started switching everything up. Okay, so then we started optimizing for results. So I understood that the issue with these numbers was correlated back to this one, to this column right here. So we started then switching around how we qualified our prospects, which is what we'll talk about in a second. And so then what happened was that our calls booked went down, meaning that our cost per booked call went up, because although we might have declined a little bit in the ad spend right here since we were testing different things out, we were roughly about the same ad spend. And we can see that the message in CPM, so we were doing DM ads at this point, top of funnel. So that's where you're seeing this right here. So we weren't really changing our ads at all. We were just changing the qualification process. So with this, we went from way lower booked calls. So we went from a big number of 94 per month all the way down to 13 in April. So per booked call, we were still okay in March, but then in April, we had a really high cost per booked call. And I have a business coach that I was working with, and he helped me walk through this process in which, at the end of the day, the most important number is the cost per acquisition, right? So that's what we were trying to focus on at this point. We're trying to understand exactly where people are moving towards inside of the funnel. And so if you think about the funnel, it moves kind of like this, right? We got calls booked. We have the ads right here that are bringing people in. Then we're booking calls and we're forcing people through. And I talk about the leaky bucket inside of the marketing and how some people naturally just fall out, but we want the right people to go through just as much as the wrong people to siphon out. Because right here, as we can see, okay, we were booking a lot of calls, but we had very low show rate. If you have anything below 75%, you probably need to fix your pre-call. You might need to fix some of your funnels. If you have a very low qualified rates, because you're not qualifying. And so in this case, we were starting to make progress in March. I believe we might have started making a switch around halfway through the month. But then in April, this is when we really tightened up. So in April, okay, our calls booked dropped significantly, all the way down from 90 to 13, but our show up rate blew right up, okay? So we went from around 55 average all the way up to 77, which is a number we were striving for. And then our qualified number went from 50 all the way down to 22, and we brought it up to 80%. So just because of this, we had so much more efficiency in our marketing. So this led to a much, much higher close rate as well. And I should have added the hours spent as well, but what we saw here is that in January, we had a very low close rate. So I'm basing this off of the calls taken. Some people do it based off of offers, but just in general, in calls taken, we had a 7% close rate. So every time we hopped on a call, we were closing less than 1% out of 10. In February, we were closing less than 1% out of 20. But then we started making progress. Okay, so we still had a relatively low cost per acquisition up here. I mean, our program was roughly around $8,000, so still worth it. But again, we're trying to optimize not only for money and cost, but for time as well. So in this case, 90 calls booked, half an hour each. That's 45 hours spent. Here we're at 47. But now And we can see how the closes didn't really improve either, right? We had more calls booked, but the closes were actually lower in this month. In March, we halved the amount of calls booked, but because the quality of the calls were already better, we were starting to optimize on certain things. Our close rate went up significantly. So we were still able to close the same amount of deals as January, but because they were better prospects, we were closing at 22%, which is 1 out of 5. Right? So every time we hopped on a call, 1 out of 5 people actually bought. So thankfully here we had about the same cost per acquisition because we closed about the same amount of people, but we had a huge time saving. We went from spending 45 hours on sales calls all the way down to 23 hours. And then in April, we were super dialed in. So in April, we had a very tight qualification process, which is something that we were testing out for. And we only booked 13 calls. But out of the 13, only 3 no-showed. And then out of the 10, we had 80% of people that were qualified. So basically, whenever we booked a call, we had a pretty good chance that the person behind the booked call was a good fit client that would most likely show up. Up in 90s, we had a low probability, right? But now we had a very high number. And also because they were so highly qualified, we had more motivation. We were more confident on the calls, not thinking that we might be wasting our time. So our close rate was so much higher as well. So now in 6.5 hours, we booked more calls, or actually we booked less calls, but we closed more deals than all these previous months. So in April, we closed just as many deals as January and February. And in those months, we booked about 184 calls. So we booked less than 10% here, but closed just as many deals. So that's the power of actually qualifying your leads, basically. So understanding what you're looking for and optimizing for that. So what happened is that we closed more deals in less time. We went from 90 calls to 13 calls, 45 hours to 6.5 hours, 4 deals to 5 deals. So all this to say, booking more calls doesn't actually make you more money. You need to book calls with the right people that can be the right fit, that want what you sell, that can benefit from your program, and that have the money to pay you. So what should you be qualifying for? Now that you understand the importance of this and how you can optimize for your time, also save some more money. If we go back to this, my cost per acquisition also went down. It went down 30% or so to acquire a client, right? This is an $8,000 program that I was selling back in the day here. And we were acquiring clients for $500. So really good numbers. So what should you be qualifying for? Well, first you need to think about who is your ideal client. What does that point A look like? So what stage are they in? Who are they? So if you're in a certain segment, you might have a certain age. Is this someone that's really young? Is this someone that's a little bit older? Do they have a business or not? Are they currently running with a team? Do they have a certain experience level, stage of progress, interests or values? So just to give you some ideas on what this could look like. But again, if you're someone that's helping a divorced man get on dates again and marry, so it might be someone that's a little bit older, right? You might not be targeting someone in college because someone in college is less likely to be divorced already. If you're targeting a bare beginner, overweight person that's looking to get into shape, well, you might not be looking to talk to someone that's very experienced in the gym, right? So thinking through first, what is a perfect avatar so we can then build back from that and start to establish the criteria for the qualification. And the goal is that we want to eliminate anyone that is not at that point A stage in our business. So understanding the client journey that we're taking them on, what is that exact point that they're at during the point A, and shaping everything that we do around our qualification process for that and eliminating anyone else. Why do we eliminate? Because basically everyone else is kind of a waste of time. There's nothing against them. It's just that they're not the right fit for our program. So we don't have to basically talk to them. So what are the different ways to optimize? So you can optimize through your ads. So basically your top of funnel. You can optimize through your content. You can optimize during the conversation and or through the application. So not everyone has an application. I do recommend it depending on the stage especially, but let's break everything down. So for ads, so this is the top of funnel. This is how people might find you. You could also be doing organic content, but what I talk about in my clients, we establish the top of funnel through ads because it's the most consistent way to actually generate leads every single day while you sleep, while you're sick, and the AI pixel makes it even better. So for ads, if you're trying to qualify, well, you want to be somewhat specific on the type of people that we're working with. Again, so you want to call them out. So if you're very direct, you can say, if you're an online coach making over $5,000 a month, if you are 20 pounds overweight and you're over 50 years old, if you are just starting your business, if you're an experienced Forex trader looking to make more money. So calling someone out directly. You can also do this indirectly since the direct ads are somewhat saturated right now. You can get a little creative. So indirectly is basically talking to their stage and what they might be going through or their experience level and basically saying what a direct ad would be insinuating, and you say that through a creative outlook. So with indirectly, you're going to say something like, you're probably an incredible coach who gets great results and you know how to sell. You see more people to sell to. It's one of the ads that I recently ran right now. And this is relevant because if you're a very beginner coach, well, you don't really have great results just yet because you don't have any clients. And if you're a beginner, you don't really know how to sell yet. So in this case, I'm calling out someone that already got clients because they would have great results only if they add clients. If you know how to sell, they've probably hopped on a lot of sales calls already. So now this is someone that's already got some experience level, and now they need what we solve, which is helping with their marketing and scaling with ads. So you could do something, different variations with this pertaining to your actual avatar. So then speaking again to their experience, what they're going through, their challenges, and being able to get somewhat creative with your ad while calling them out specifically. And the goal here, again, is to push away anyone that is not qualified or the right fit for our offer. Another way to do this is through your content. So something that I recommend is not only qualifying and pushing people away that are the exact point A clients, but also pushing away people that aren't your alignment with who you are as well. So this will naturally happen through your content, but I'm very expressive with what I like and who I am. So I'm somewhat abrasive in some of my content. I'm showing off fitness and my lifestyle. So it's most likely going to resonate with certain types of people. And I do this on purpose because whenever you're working with new clients and you're selling your program, most of the time you're going to be working with these clients somewhat directly. So especially if you're doing a one-on-one, but still, even if you're doing a scaled community offer, you're going to be most likely having some kind of interaction with your clients. May that be through the main community or your coaching calls, the DMs, what have you. And ideally, you want to actually like your clients. And thankfully, you're running a business and you can choose to do so. So in this case, why not be somewhat expressive on who you are, what you value, what you like, so that the people that naturally also like that will resonate with you, and everyone that doesn't is naturally going to get pushed away. So a very silly example would be for politics, for example. If politics are very important in your life and you're a diehard Republican, for example, you might not mesh so well with a diehard liberal, right? So in this case, if you were to work with a liberal, you already know that there'd be some kind of clash. It just wouldn't connect that well. So why not actually push this in your content and be somewhat expressive about it? So for me, I prefer fitness. I think I respect people that like fitness and take care of themselves. So I do this in my content. So someone that's really out of shape, they might think that I'm showing off or something. So they're going to get pushed away. But someone that's also into fitness, they might think, okay, this guy's running a business. He's doing well while taking care of his body. I might lean into that, right? So that's the goal here with your content. For the actual conversations themselves, so you can also qualify while you talk to someone and while you start that connection. So again, deciding on the core information you need from a prospect to figure out if they're potentially an ideal client based on your offer and your avatar. So understanding what that criteria is, and then formulating some questions that aren't going to sound so robotic or so cut and dry, but being somewhat of a conversation, right? So think about it as being at a cocktail party or a happy hour. You're just basically asking someone questions about themselves and their business while being in a normal conversation. So that's the framework you want to go about this, but what are the actual questions themselves? Well, here are some of our examples. So are you actually running a coaching business or not? If you're not running a coaching business, we built everything around that, so not the right fit. Time in business, if they just started last month, they're probably not that experienced. Average deals per month goal, right? So that's one way to say, how much money you're making in your business. So how many clients are you signing each month? And how many clients would you like to sign? What is currently holding you back? So having an understanding of what is their current pain point. If they're worried about hiring a team, well, we that's like a later stage in our business and what we help with. So we mostly focus on ads and content and the marketing and the automations. And so if you're focused on your team, it's probably not the right fit. Or if you're focused on anything else, like your lifestyle or your relationships, right? We're focused on the marketing and the ads. When are you wanting to get this fixed? Well, ideally now or soon, right? If someone's looking to get this done next year, again, probably not the right fit. So in your case, what are those criteria that you're looking for to make that person be the exact point A ideal client that you're looking for? So do they have a certain income that they need? Most likely if you're doing high ticket. Is there a certain size of business? Are they currently running a team or not? Are they needing to have a certain starting weight? So if you're helping someone that's very skinny bulk up, or if you're looking to help someone lose weight and cut down, right? So what is the starting weight to the goal weight? What is their experience level? So a couple of different ways to help you basically think through this process. But you do want to think about the language they use as well. So do they want to grow or scale? Do they want to lose weight or get shredded? So if you're maybe a younger crowd, younger demographic, get shredded. But if you're talking to someone that's 75 years old, you might not say get shredded, right? But the goal here is that you want it to sound like a conversation so that you can use a language that would be applied in a conversation while framing it around the questions that are relevant and important for the research that you're trying to do towards this person. You want to enter into the conversation already happening in your customer's mind. So you're asking questions pertaining to their pain points. So if you're helping with weight loss, how many times you're going to the gym right now? Have you tried different diets? So really speaking to where they're at, helping them understand they're in a problem right now. And then you're going to connect that with the dream outcome, which will be eventually booking a call with you. So you want to have a general framework, but again, in business, everything's testing and iterating. So you can test and try different questions. And what kills most setting conversations is talking to the right people in the wrong way. But again, no pressure. We're just going to be improving this as we go. So think of it as a scientific experiment. There's always going to be more prospects out there, so we can keep refining this until we find the winners. So again, turning your qualification criteria into simple questions, making it feel more like a connection, less like an interrogation. And that also means, we have different setting trainings as well, but you also want to be a person. So you're not just going question after question. You can also respond to something that they say from that question, riff off of that, and then bring it back. So just having a natural conversation. There's questions in here. You can also feed into it, but then staying on track. Jordan Belfort talks about this. He calls it the straight line persuasion. So basically you're on a straight line. Here we go. So we're on a straight line. Okay, we're going to take someone from basically cold or in the audience to point B being like a client of ours. Okay, so whenever we do this, we're taking them along a straight line. So certain things have to happen, but in this case, we're trying to, through the conversation, build trust. We're trying to build rapport, but we're also trying to qualify them. So whenever we ask qualification questions, so how much weight are you looking to lose? I'm looking to lose 20 pounds. It's because I went traveling for 3 months and I was eating so much food, and now I get so worried about losing it. I don't know where to start or how to go. So now we're kind of getting off track a little bit. He answered the question, but now he's going on a little bit of a tangent. Here we can kind of write it out with them. Oh, where'd you go traveling? That's great. Yeah, fitness is so important. I really try to find the best ways to stay in shape while I travel. So now, although we came back, so now you're thinking about losing weight, what are you taking? What kind of steps are you taking right now to make progress, right? So then we bring it right back towards the question. So you can kind of riff off with them a little bit, but at the end of the day, you want to stay on that straight line from point A, convo, to point B, if we can, booked call, okay? So we got a couple different examples here as well. So it's the same question, but said differently. So again, we're trying to do a scientific experiment, just how you might optimize and test different copy on your funnel or try different hooks on your ad. We can also try different qualification questions. So it's basically saying the same thing, but in different ways. So how much weight are you looking to lose? What will be your target weight? In a perfect world, how much weight do you want to burn? This examples. Another one for a different industry would be, what's your current revenue? How much does your business generate per month on average? How many clients do you close per month? And how much do you charge for your program? So again, saying the same thing, thinking back to maybe the language that they're using so that we can best adapt our questions and try to iterate as we go. The next way to qualify is going to be through an actual application page itself. So we've tested with this, we've tested without it. So if you have a really strong qualification criteria conversation, you probably don't need to actually send an application. And that's because you've already qualified them through the DMs. If you're having somewhat of a shorter conversation, if they're not engaging too much, but they're ready to book the call, you could send an application and the application is going to force them to respond to all of your questions before they land on the booking page. So there's basically two different ways to go about it. You can either do it in the DMs, straight to the calendar page. You can do it, so you can do it from the DMs to the calendar page. You can do DMs to, I don't know why I put the S down there. We have DMs to calendar. We have DMs to application to calendar. And then in some cases, you can even do ads directly to calendar, but these are going to be harder sales. So again, what are you trying to optimize for? So it can work. All three of these can work. Most of the time, I recommend most likely doing the DM, depending on the conversation, straight to calendar, so you have less friction. But if you're having a lot of people basically lie during the conversations, they're not engaging too much, you might want to add the application just to be safe as well. So now, when should you start qualifying? So now you understand the importance of actually doing this. You're trying to hone in on your efforts. You're trying to get more output out of your time and reduce all that time wasted with low quality leads. Well, you should most likely wait off if you're at the very beginning stage of your business, just because right now you need to build experience. You need to actually connect with your audience and understand where they're at right now. What are their pain points? What are they looking to achieve? And so at this point, you really do want to just get more experience. So you can start to qualify a little bit, but you do want to get some reps in as well. So hopping on some sales calls, even if all the calls aren't the perfect fit, is probably not the worst idea. And that's how I got a lot of experience myself. I was just hopping on a lot of calls and I got a really good understanding and a really good pulse on my market. Where are they at right now? What are their challenges? What is the kind of verbiage that they're using inside of their speak? And I was able to best adapt my copy, my ads, my content based on what they were saying on those sales calls. But once we actually close a couple deals, now it's time to optimize our time, start to tighten up on the qualification questions and hone those in, start to actually get more purposeful with our content, with the ads as well, and to start to put everything together. So, but the problem is, if you think that you're going to be pushing too many people away, you really shouldn't be worried about booking more calls. You just have to get better at your marketing. At the end of the day, there's more than enough people that actually need what you sell. You just have to focus on the people that will be the buyers. And that's because at the end of the day, if you're cutting down on how many booked calls you have, you're really just taking off the bad ones. We're trying to keep the good calls, just take off all the bad ones. That's the goal of this qualification process. Yes, it's a little bit more friction. Yes, you might lose one potential call you could have had here or there, but overall you're saving so much time that you can put back towards your marketing, so now you can scale up the qualified amount of calls that you have. So that's the problem with most call funnels. Most people are optimizing for the wrong thing, and they're wasting their team's time and their own time. So I recommend that you start to think about this and start to focus on quality over quantity. So that's mainly it right here. If you want access to our entire funnel, how I break down my marketing, how I have automated funnels, how we actually structure the different landing pages, how we integrate that application page inside of our funnel, I invite you to go and scan this QR code. It's going to bring you to my new community, our Coach Capital. And inside here, we have a lot of different things going on. We have my funnel, we have scripts for ads, we have trainings as well. We have scripts for the DMs. It's going to break down a lot of different things right here. And you can see it right inside of here. So it's what it looks like once you join. You have access to all these different trainings. So we have a 7-day challenge right here. This is going to basically help you get some momentum inside of your business. So we have trainings on offers, on marketing, on creating assets like YouTube videos like this one, or a VSL, a lead magnet, setting up your ads, and basically getting you on track so you can start hitting some 30K months. We have my marketing machine playbook, which is my entire marketing funnel broken down to 3 main pillars, make it very easy to understand. We also have more trainings regarding offers. We have more trainings with leads and funnels. And we also have trainings for business funding, because a lot of people with the economy right now just have certain lacks when it comes to financing. It's a lot harder to launch a business or scale a business if you're constrained by how much money you have, so that you're held back on your ad spend, held back on your team. I'm going to show you how to qualify for over $100,000 at 0%, all for free inside of our Coach Capital community. So now you have the money to actually take action and see some massive results. But that's basically it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope it was very helpful for you so you can start to refine your marketing a little bit more, start to get more results out of your time. I'll talk to you soon.